Good morning. We will start the session now. Last day we were discussing about perfect competition. And we discussed several things. We discussed the characteristics of a perfectly competitive market. There are a large number of buyers and sellers, and the products are homogeneous, and there are no intro exit barriers, and perfect information are with both producers and customers on price of goods, price and goods. And then we discussed about the demand curve of a perfectly competitive firm. A perfectly competitive firm is a price taker. So whatever the price determined in the market, so this picture is about the market. This is market supply and market demand with at the intersecting point. The equilibrium market price is determined. And that market equilibrium price is taken by individual firms. This is the case of a firm. So the firm is able to provide whatever the quantity that consumer demand, whatever the quantity consumers are demanding can be provided at this price by this firm. So the demand curve for this firm becomes a horizontal line. And also we discussed that in the case of a perfectly competitive firm, price equals marginal revenue, and also it equals to average revenue. So this happens only in the case of a perfectly competitive firm. When the firm is the perfectly competitive one, price, marginal revenue, average revenue, all these figures are the same. This is not the case in other market structures. This happens only in perfect competition. And then we discussed how the short-run equilibrium of a perfectly competitive firm is determined. Short-run equilibrium means the profit maximizing level. Profit maximizing level of how. We can find the profit maximizing level of output in two approaches. One is the total approach and the second one is marginal approach. In total approach, we find the difference between total revenue and total cost. Profit is total revenue minus total cost. So profit is maximum when this difference is the highest. When the difference between total revenue and total cost is the largest, then that is the maximum profit. And the level of output that produces that the largest difference between total revenue and total cost becomes the profit maximizing output level. So we can show it like this. Over this range, the firm is reporting losses. Over this range also, the firm is reporting losses. Because you can see total cost is greater than total revenue. This is total cost. This is total revenue. Total revenue is below the total cost, so obviously there should be loss. Over this range also the same thing happens. Total cost is higher than total revenue, so there should be losses. Only over this range, the firm reports profits because total cost is below the total revenue. And the maximum gap between total revenue and total cost is somewhere here. So this is the maximum profit. Maximum profit. Maximum profit is this much. And that profit is reported at this level of output. And this is the profit maximizing output level. Profit maximizing output level. Which we can label as Q star. That is the short run equilibrium. This is the case of short run because you can see there is some sort of a fixed cost. The fixed cost is there. Total cost is starting from above zero. So this difference is the fixed cost. So since we have some fixed cost in this picture, this belongs to the short run. And the second approach is the marginal approach. In that case, we have to satisfy two conditions. One condition is marginal revenue, which should be equal to marginal cost. And also, the slope of marginal cost should be greater than the slope of marginal revenue. So I think I drew this picture in the previous session. Yes, here. We may have this marginal cost curve like this as well. We can extend the marginal cost curve like this. So what was the first condition for profit maximization according to the marginal approach? Marginal revenue curve should be, marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost. So the condition is satisfied here. You can see marginal cost and marginal revenue are equal at this level. And also at this level, marginal revenue and marginal cost values are equal at this level, Q2. But here it's not profit the firm is reporting. Profit is the gap between price and average cost. The price and the gap between price and average cost multiplied by Q. Multiplied by Q. Profit is, can we extend this expression? P into Q minus AC into Q. So I'm using this simple Q to mention that this is the case of a firm. For markets, I use capital Q. For individual firms, I use simple Q. So don't be confused about the notations. Q and simple Q and capital Q both imply the level of output. The level of output. But to distinguish between the case of a market and a case of a firm, I use simple and capital letters. Capital letter for the market, simple letter for a firm. So this is the case of a firm. So P into Q, profit is the gap between price and average cost multiplied by Q. Price into Q minus average cost into Q. So what is this P into Q? P into Q is nothing else. It's total revenue. Price multiplied by output. What the firm gets is the total revenue. And average cost into Q. It's total cost. Total cost. Average cost formula is what? Total cost divided by output. So we have multiplied average cost by Q. So average cost into Q is what? Total cost. So this is nothing else. So profit is total revenue minus total cost. The same thing can be calculated in this way. P minus AC into Q. So when P is greater than AC, when P is greater than AC, the firm will be earning an economic profit. When P is less than AC, the firm will be earning an economic loss. When P is equal to AC, the firm will be earning normal profits. Normal profits. Normal profit means the economic profit is zero. Normal profit means economic profits are zero. At this level of output, what do you observe? And as I explained before, marginal revenue also equals to average revenue. Marginal revenue also equals to average revenue. And also it's the price. Price, marginal revenue, average revenue, all these three concepts are equal in perfect competition. So at this level of output, what is P? P is this much. What is average cost? Average cost is something higher like this. Average cost is very high. So at this level of output, price is lower than average cost. Price is lower than average cost. So here the firm is reporting an economic loss. At this point, the firm is reporting an economic loss. When it comes to this point, Q2 level of output, this is the price, and this is the average cost. You can see price is greater than average cost. So the firm is experiencing an economic profit. Economic profit is there. So only this level of output can be considered as the profit maximizing output level, not this. Because at this level of output, the firm is earning an economic loss. At this level of output, firm is earning an economic profit. Although in both situations, in both output levels, the first condition is satisfied, only this output level can be considered as profit maximizing output level, because in this situation, it's not a profit, but it's a loss. So in addition to the MR equals MC condition, we introduce the secondary condition. The second condition, that is the slope of MC. The slope of MC should be higher than the slope of MR. So that is the second condition. Slope of MC should be greater than the slope of MR. So in the second output level, Q2 level, you observe this is MR. MC is this. And this level of output, we observe the profit maximizing output level QE or Q star. So slope of MC is greater than slope of MR. Slope of MR is how much here? It's 0. Slope of MC takes a positive value. So the positive number is greater than 0. So this is the profit maximizing output level at which the both conditions are satisfied. MR is equal to MC, and also slope of MC is greater than slope of MR. At Q1 level of output, At Q1 level of output here, MR equals MC condition is satisfied. MR equals MC condition is satisfied, but what do you observe? MC is this, MR is this. The slope of MR, is 0 because it's a horizontal line. But what about the slope of MC? Slope of MC is negative. So the negative number is less than 0. The negative number is less than 0. So the second condition is not satisfied at this level of output. What is the second condition? Slope of MC should be greater than slope of MR. So because only at this level, both conditions are satisfied. So this is where the profit is maximum. This is where the short-run equilibrium occurs. We discussed these things in the previous session. I just wanted to refresh your knowledge because we had a one week break in between the previous session and today. So today we start this session from here. Yes. Here. I explained a short while ago that when the firm is price is greater than average cost, what happens to the firm? The firm is earning an economic profit. When price is less than average cost, firm is earning an economic loss. When price is equal to average cost, firm is experiencing normal profit. So these three incidences, these three situations are shown in this graph. This is about the market. This is about the market demand and market supply. At the intersecting point, we find the equilibrium price, equilibrium market price. Here the price is equilibrium market price. The firm is a price taker, so this price has to be taken by individual firms. So these three situations are for a firm. So this price is taken by the firm. This is its demand curve. This is same thing again. This is the demand curve. Demand itself becomes the marginal revenue curve, and also it becomes the average revenue curve. Price equals marginal revenue equals average revenue. So for all these three incidences, the price, marginal revenue, average revenue curves are the same. The demand curve, marginal revenue curve, average revenue curve, all these three are the same. The only difference happens in the case in relation to the cost curves. You can see cost curves in this case are a little bit lower. Costs are lower here. And in this case, costs are a little bit higher. In this case, costs are the highest compared to these three situations. Here the costs are the lowest. Here the costs are a little bit higher. And here the costs are the highest. See, the demand curve, marginal revenue curve, average revenue curve, all these curves are the same. They lie at the same level. But cost curves are different. Here the costs are lower, here little bit higher, here very high. So let's see at this level where the profit maximizing output level is. In this situation, where the profit maximizing output level is. To find the profit maximizing output level, there are two conditions that should be satisfied. One is MR should be equal to MC. So this is MR and MC equal condition. MR equals MC. And also, at this point, the slope of marginal cost is greater than the slope of marginal revenue. Slope of marginal cost is positive. Slope of marginal revenue is 0. So slope of marginal cost is greater than slope of marginal revenue. So both conditions are satisfied here. So this is where the profit is maximum. And in this situation, where the profit is maximum, let's go through the two conditions. Find the point where marginal revenue equals to marginal cost. Marginal revenue, it should be equal to marginal cost. Marginal revenue is this. Marginal cost is this. Marginal revenue is this. So marginal revenue and marginal cost are equal here. And also, what about the second condition? Marginal revenue, but the slope of marginal cost should be greater than the slope of marginal revenue. I made a small modification to the second condition. The second condition, the slope of marginal cost, is greater than or equal. Is greater than or equal. I introduce the second thing, that is, it can be equal as well, but it should not be less than. It should not be less than. It should be greater than or equal. Greater than or equal. Slope of marginal cost should be greater than or equal to slope of marginal revenue. You also make it the change greater than or equal. Greater than or equal. So here, marginal cost is at the minimum. Marginal cost is at the minimum. So at the minimum point of marginal cost, this is marginal cost. The marginal cost is the minimum. Sorry. Marginal cost. No. Just remove the condition. It should be greater, not equal. I'm sorry for making it confusing. It should be always greater, not greater than or equal. So always should be greater than, not equal. I'm sorry for the mistake. So equality is also not possible. If the slope of marginal cost and marginal revenue are equal, then that is also wrong. The second condition is not satisfied here in this situation. Obviously, it should be greater than the slope of marginal cost should be greater than slope of marginal revenue. So greater than is the only option. Greater than. So at this point, the slope of marginal revenue, the slope of marginal revenue is 0. Slope of marginal revenue is 0, and slope of marginal cost is positive. So the positive value is greater than 0. So at this point, both conditions are satisfied. So this is the equilibrium point. This is the profit maximizing point. In the third situation, marginal revenue and marginal cost are equal at this point. Marginal cost is this, marginal revenue is this. Marginal cost is this, marginal revenue is this. So marginal cost and marginal revenue are equal at this point. And also the slope of marginal cost is positive. The slope of marginal revenue is 0. So slope of marginal cost is greater than slope of marginal marginal revenue. So the second condition is also satisfied, so that we can identify this level of output as the profit maximizing output level or the equilibrium output level. So we found profit maximizing output levels in all these three situations. In the first situation, this is where the profit is maximum, or this is where the equilibrium occurs. In the second situation, this is where the profit maximizing output level occurs. And in the third situation, this is where the profit maximizing output level occurs. So after finding profit maximizing output levels that satisfy the two conditions, the first condition is MR should be equal to MC. The second condition should be the slope of MC should be greater than the slope of marginal revenue. So at all these 3 points, both conditions are satisfied. So we can identify this level, and this level as profit maximizing output levels. So after finding these profit maximizing output levels, let's compare profit and average cost values. Profit and average cost values to determine whether the firm is earning an economic profit, to determine whether the firm is earning an economic loss, or to determine whether the firm is earning a normal profit. So let's decide that. In the first condition, in the first situation, what do you observe? Where is the P? P is here. P is here. This is the demand curve. So P is here. Where is the average cost? Average cost is at this level of output. Average cost is here. At the profit maximizing level of output, price is here, and average cost is here. Clear? At this profit maximizing level of output, price is this much, average cost is this much. So, to which condition this situation belongs to? To which condition this condition belongs? This situation belongs. Price is greater than average cost. Price is greater than average cost. At this level of output, where the profit is maximum, price is this much, average cost is this much. So price is greater than average cost. So what type of profits the firm is earning? It's an economic profit. The firm is earning an economic profit. In the second situation, at this profit maximizing output level, what is the price? Price is this demand curve. Price lies on this demand curve. So price is this much. And what about average cost? Average cost is also at the same point. Because you see, average cost curve is minimum at this level of output. To enlarge the picture, this is average cost. This is marginal cost. You can observe marginal cost curve is passing through the average cost at the minimum point of average cost. So this is where average cost is minimum. At the same point, the demand curve passes through. This is the demand curve, price, marginal revenue, and average revenue. So at this point, you observe price and average cost both are the same. Price and average cost both are the same. So what type of a profit is earning here? When price and average cost are equal, the firm is earning a normal profit. A normal profit. Where economic profit is zero. Economic profit is zero. So in the second incidence, the second situation, you observe the firm is earning a normal profit because price and average cost, the two values are equal. In the third situation, where's the price? At the profit maximizing output level, where's the price? At the profit maximizing output level, price is here. Price is here. And average cost is here. Average cost is here. So which is greater? Average cost is greater than the price. Average cost is here. Price is here. So average cost is greater than the price. So the firm is earning an economic loss. Firm is earning an economic loss because average cost is greater than the price. So these are the three possible incidences that any perfectly competitive firm experience in the short run. A perfectly competitive firm in the short run can experience economic profits or normal profits or economic profits. A perfectly competitive firm in the short run can experience economic profits, normal profits, or economic losses. Anything is possible in the short run for a perfectly competitive firm. So to determine whether it's economic profits or economic losses or normal profits, the first thing you have to do is what? You have to find the profit maximizing output level. The first thing you have to do is finding the profit maximizing output level. To find the profit maximizing output level, there should be two conditions satisfied. There are two conditions satisfied. One is, the first thing is, marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost. The second condition is, slope of marginal cost should be greater than the slope of marginal revenue. So after finding the profit maximizing output level, the second thing you have to do is to compare price and average cost at the profit maximizing output level. You have to compare price and average cost at the profit maximizing output level. Price is shown by the demand curve, which is vertical, so which is horizontal. You can find the price on the demand curve. on the marginal revenue curve, on the average revenue curve. All these three concepts are the same. And then go to the average cost curve. Go to the average cost curve and find where is it. And then compare price and average cost. If price is greater than average cost, it's an economic profit. If price is less than average cost, it's an economic loss. If price is equal to average cost, it's situation of a normal profit. So that's all what you have to do. Firm shutdown decision. So so far in our pictures, in our diagrams, we have only three curves: demand curve, or marginal revenue curve, or average revenue curve, the horizontal line. That is one curve. And we have this marginal cost curve, the second curve. And also we have this average cost curve, the third curve. We have only demand curve, marginal cost curve, and average cost curve. Now we are going to introduce average variable cost curve also to our picture. We introduce average variable cost curve to our picture. If the market price is, assume the market price is somewhere here. Market price is here. So demand curve, marginal revenue curve, average revenue curve, all are represented by this vertical horizontal line. This is the first price. Demand curve 1, marginal revenue curve 1, average revenue curve 1. So where the profit is maximized? Where the profit is maximized? Think about the two conditions. Where the marginal revenue equals to marginal cost? Here. Marginal revenue and marginal cost are equal here. So profit maximum, the second condition. Slope of marginal cost should be greater than slope of marginal revenue. The slope of marginal revenue is 0. Slope of marginal cost is positive. So the second condition is also satisfied here. So this becomes the profit maximizing output level, QV1. And compare price and average cost now. Price is here, average cost is here. So what type of profits the firm is earning? Economic profits. So at QE1 level of equilibrium level of output, firm is earning an economic profit. QE1, it's an economic profit because price is greater than average cost. And think about the second point, the second level of price. So this is the original equilibrium price. Now equilibrium price falls. Assume equilibrium price falls to P2 level. P2 level. In the market, equilibrium price level falls to P2 level. So this is the second firm demand curve, second marginal revenue curve for the firm, second average revenue curve for the firm. There is a falling price in the market. Falls from P1 to P2. So at this new level of market price, where is the equilibrium? Where is the profit maximizing output level? Again, think about the two conditions. Where the price, where the marginal revenue equals to marginal cost. Marginal revenue is this horizontal line, and marginal cost is this. So marginal revenue and marginal cost are equal at this level. And think about the second condition. The slope of marginal cost is still positive and slope of marginal revenue is 0. So the second condition is also satisfied. So this output level becomes QE2 becomes the second equilibrium output level. QE2. And what type of profit is there? Price is here. Average cost is also at the same point. So price and average cost are equal. So at this point, at this level of output, normal profits are there. Normal profits are there. Price is equal to average cost. As you learned in cost theory, average cost has two components. As you learned in cost theory, if you can remember, average cost has two components in the short run. What are they? Average fixed cost and average variable cost. So at this level of output, QE1, average cost is below the price. Average cost is below the price. So price is more than enough. Price is more than enough to cover both average fixed cost and average variable cost at QE1 level. Price is very high compared to average cost. Price is here, average cost is here. So average cost has two components, average fixed cost and average variable cost. At QE1 level of output, price is more than enough to cover both average fixed cost and average variable cost. Price is more than enough to cover average fixed cost and average variable cost. And think about QE2 level of equilibrium. Think about this QE2 level. Price and average cost are equal. So price is enough. It's just enough to cover average fixed cost and average variable cost because price is equal to AC. Price is enough. Simply it's just enough to cover average fixed cost and average variable cost. Think about another situation. The market price falls further. Market price falls further to P3 level. Now the market price is at P3 level. So this is the third demand curve that the firm is facing. P3, MR3, and AR3. So at this price level, where the profit maximizing output level occurs, think about the two conditions where the marginal revenue and marginal cost are equal. Marginal revenue is this horizontal line. Marginal cost is this increasing curve. So marginal cost and marginal revenue are equal here. The first condition is satisfied at this intersecting point. And what about the second condition? The slope of marginal cost is positive. The slope of marginal revenue is 0. So the second condition is also fulfilled. So this output level is the second equilibrium output level, QE3. At QE3 level of output, QE3 level of output, compare average cost and average cost, compare the price and average cost. At Q3 level of equilibrium level of output, this is the price, and where is the average cost? Average cost is here. So average cost is greater than price. So what type of profit is there? It's an economic loss. Because average cost is greater than the price. And at this level of output, at Q3 level of equilibrium output, what is average variable cost? Average variable cost. Average variable cost is this much. So which is the highest? Average cost is the highest. Average cost is here. And then price is there. This is the price. And below the price, we have the average variable cost. Average variable cost. So price is sufficient. Price is sufficient to cover average variable cost fully. Price is enough to cover average variable cost fully. It's clear because price is greater than average variable cost. Price is here, average variable cost is here. Price is enough to cover average variable cost. But price is not enough to cover average fixed cost fully. Price is not enough to cover average fixed cost fully. So where we find the average fixed cost? It's the gap between average cost and average variable cost. So this gap between average cost and average variable cost is average fixed cost. This vertical gap between average cost and average variable cost is average fixed cost. As this price fully covered average fixed cost? No. Average fixed cost is this much. Average fixed cost is this much. And after covering average variable cost fully, this is average variable cost. This vertical difference is average variable cost. The total difference between this here and here is average cost. This difference between average cost and average variable cost is average fixed cost. The gap between the horizontal line and average variable cost is average variable cost. And the summation of average variable cost and average fixed cost, this whole difference, this complete difference is average cost. Price is here. Price is here. Price is sufficient to cover average variable cost fully. Price is sufficient to cover average variable cost fully. But only a part of average fixed cost is covered by the price, not fully. Only a part of average fixed cost is covered by the price, not completely. Only this part of average fixed cost. Only this part of average fixed cost is covered by the price because price is here. This part of average fixed cost is not covered by the price. There is something left in average fixed cost which is not covered by the price. A part of average fixed cost is not covered by the price. Average variable cost is fully covered. Average fixed cost, only a part of it is covered by the price. This part is not covered. This part is not covered. So that part is a loss. It's a loss. It's a loss to the firm. So that is why at QE3 level of output, the firm is earning an economic loss. the price is not sufficient. The price is not sufficient to fully cover the average cost. The price is not sufficient to fully cover the average cost. When we distinguish, when we break down average cost into average fixed cost and average variable cost, with the price, average variable cost is fully covered. With the price, only a part of average fixed cost is covered by the price. The part which is not covered by the price is the loss. And think about another price level. Assume the market price level falls further to P4 level of price. So it's here. The fourth demand curve that the firm is facing, marginal revenue 4, average revenue 4. Think about the two conditions for profit maximization. Marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost. Marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost. And the second condition, the slope of marginal cost should be greater than the slope of marginal revenue. Where the first condition is satisfied, it's here. Marginal revenue and marginal cost are equal at this level of output. So the profit maximizing output level is here, QE4. And second condition is also satisfied. The slope of marginal cost is positive. Slope of marginal revenue is 0. So the second condition is satisfied. So at this output level, at this equilibrium output level, QE4, compare price and average cost. Price is here. Price is here. Price is here. Average cost is here. So price is less than average cost. Average cost is greater than price. So obviously there is an economic loss. There is an economic loss. At QE4 level of output, average cost is greater than price, so there is an economic loss. And let's break down average cost into the two parts, average fixed cost and average variable cost. So at this equilibrium level of output QE4, where is the average variable cost? Average variable cost is here. So this difference is average variable cost. And where is average fixed cost? The difference between average variable cost and average cost. So this difference is average fixed cost. So this is average variable cost at QE4 level, and this is average fixed cost at the same level. And what do you observe? Is this price is here. Is this price sufficient to cover average variable cost? Yes, it's just enough. it's sufficient. So average variable cost is completely covered by the price. Is the price sufficient to cover average fixed cost? No. Average fixed cost is this much. Price is here. So price is not sufficient. Price is not sufficient to cover average fixed cost. Even the part is not covered. So the whole part of average fixed cost is not covered by the price. The whole part of average fixed cost is not covered by the price. So this whole part of average fixed cost, which is not covered by the price, becomes the loss. So at P4 level of output, equilibrium output level is QE4. At QE4 level of output, average variable cost is completely covered by the price, but average fixed cost is completely left. So it belongs to the loss. It generates a loss. Think about another price level. Assume the price level in the market falls further to P5 level. P5. So this is the fifth demand curve, fifth marginal revenue curve, fifth average revenue curve. Think about the two conditions for profit maximization. MR should be equal to MC. This is where MR equals to MC, condition is satisfied. And at the same point, marginal revenue, the slope of marginal cost is greater than the slope of marginal revenue. So at this level of output, QE5, at this level of output, the profit is maximum. Or the loss is minimum. Profit is maximum. On the other hand, we can call it the loss is minimum. So this is kind of a loss minimization point. Then it's profit maximization. So at this point, where is the price? Price is here. And where is the average cost? Average cost is here. So this, there's a gap. Average cost is greater than the price. So obviously there is a loss. At QE5 level of output, average cost is greater than price. So economic loss is there. The firm is experiencing an economic loss. And break down this average cost into two parts. Average fixed cost and average variable cost. At this level of output, at QE5 level of output, where is the average variable cost? Average variable cost is here. So this gap shows average variable cost. And where is the average fixed cost? It's the difference between average cost and average variable cost. So this gap is average fixed cost. Is the price sufficient to cover average variable cost? Where's the price? Price is here. Price is here, average variable cost is here. At this point, variable cost is even higher than the price. So price is not sufficient to fully cover average variable cost. Only a part is covered. Only a part is covered. So from average variable cost, a part is not covered by the price. A part is not covered by the price, and the rest is covered by the price. What about average fixed cost? Price is here. Price is here. Price is not sufficient to cover average fixed cost. Average fixed cost is here. So average fixed cost is not completely covered. Average fixed cost is not completely covered by the price. So these black areas, this black area belongs to average fixed cost, and this black area belongs to a part of average variable cost. So a part of average variable cost and the average fixed cost fully belong to this economic loss. So these are the possible situations that this firm can face in the short run. At Q1, economic profit is there, no problem. At Q2, QE2, normal profits are there, so it's also not problematic to the firm. At QE3, average cost is greater than price, so economic loss is there. Average variable cost is fully covered. Only a part of average fixed cost is covered, and the rest is not covered. Can this firm, at this situation, continue production? Can this firm continue production at this situation? Even though there is a loss, this is the loss, the firm can continue production. Because they can cover at least average variable cost. They can cover the costs related to variable inputs. The variable inputs are always necessary to continue production, because when firm increases production, the variable costs also have to be increased, because variable cost and output are related. When output increases, average variable cost also will increase. It's variable because it depends on the output level. Then what about fixed cost? Fixed cost, a part is not covered. Fixed costs are mandatory cost items, whether produced or not produced. Fixed costs have to be borne, whether the firm is producing or not. Even at the zero level of output, firm has to obviously bear fixed cost. So the production decision should depend on the variable cost rather than on fixed cost, because even when firms are not producing, fixed costs are there. Firms produce කරන්න නැති වෙලාවෙ fixed cost එක තියෙනවා. So the production decision, whether to continue production or not, should be made by looking at the variable cost. If the firm can cover variable cost, then it means what? The firm can continue their production. So at QE3 level of output, average variable cost can be fully covered. So without any problem, firm can continue production. Average fixed cost is compulsory cost items that should be borne even when the firm is not producing. So a part of fixed cost is covered. So even though there is a small loss, due to this uncovered part of fixed cost, the firm decides to continue. Even though there is a loss, firm continues. Firm decides to continue their production. That is the production decision at QE3 level. QE4 level, what did we observe? Average variable cost is fully covered. The full amount of average fixed cost is not covered. So since average variable cost is completely covered, at this situation also, firm decides to continue their production. Firm decides to continue their production. Because average fixed cost is unavoidable kind of costs. Average fixed cost is unavoidable types of costs. Even when the firm is not producing, firm has to bear fixed costs. So the production decision, whether to continue or not, has to be taken by looking at average variable cost. Since the firm is able to cover average variable cost fully at QE4 level of output, at this level of also, firm decides to continue. Firm decides to continue their production. And what about QE4? Average fixed cost is not covered fully. Only a part of average variable cost is covered. Can this firm continue production? No. Firm is not able to cover the average variable cost. Average variable costs are really necessary to increase production. So firm is not able to, firm will not be able to increase their production because even a part of average variable cost cannot be covered with the price. So at QE4 level, QE5 level, firm will not decide to continue their production. Firm will not continue production. So where the production decision, where is the margin, where is the threshold level, below which firm stops production, above which firm continues production. It happens at this level. At this level, at where price is P4, at where the equilibrium quantity level is QE4. Above QE4, firm decides to continue production even at losses. Even at losses. Below QE4, below P4, above P4, firm continues production even at losses. Below P4, firm stops production, temporarily stops production. It doesn't mean that firm closes and sells their properties to others. Such thing will not happen. What happens is, the only thing happens is firm temporarily shuts the operations down. Firm temporarily shuts down the operation. So that decision is taken below P4. Below P4, firm stops production temporarily. Firm shuts down the firm temporarily. So what is the main characteristic at P4? Price and average variable cost are equal. Price and average variable cost are equal. So if price is equal to average variable cost, that is the point that marks the shutdown point. Shutdown point. The shutdown point is where price is equal to 4, at which price is equal to average variable cost. You can see price is equal to average variable cost. And there is another characteristic here, that is average variable cost is the minimum. Average variable cost is the minimum. So the shutdown decision is taken. Shutdown decision is taken at the point where average variable cost is minimum. In other words, where price is equal to average variable cost. So below that shutdown point, firms obviously temporarily stops their production. Firms shut down their operation. Below P4, where average variable cost is equal to the price, firms shut down their operations temporarily. The reason is they cannot fully cover the average variable cost. They cannot fully cover the variable cost or average variable cost. Clear? Anything you want to clarify further? Supply curve of individual firms. At P1, firm supplies how much? At P1, firm supplies QE1, level of output. At P1, firm supplies QE1 level of output. Price falls to P2. At P2, how much the firm will supply? QE2. QE2 level of quantity. At P3 level of price, how much the firm will supply? QE3. QE3. At P4, how much the firm will supply? QE4. QE4. At P5, how much the firm will supply? 0. Because at P4, firm decides to shut down their production. So the supply will stop at P4. At the shutdown point, firm will stop its supply. This is the shutdown point. This is the shutdown point. Shutdown output level. This is the shutdown point. Where P equals average variable cost, or where average variable cost is minimum. This is the minimum point of average variable. If price is this much, S4, then no matter they can above P4, without any issue, firm applies. Output. Below P4, firm stops production. So zero supply. Zero supply, quantity supply is zero. Quantity supply is zero. So the decision is taken at P4. That is the threshold price level. Above P4, firm supplies, even at losses. Below P4, firm stops production temporarily. Just a temporary shutdown. So quantity supply is zero. Below P4, firm stops production temporarily. If the price is this much, P1, QE1 level of amount of output will be supplied. If price is P2, QE2 level of output will be supplied. If price is P3, QE3 level of output will be supplied. So when price is P, let's give some quantities to these notations. QE1 is 100 units. QE2 is 70 units. QE3 is, let's say, 50 units. And at P4, quantity supply will be QE4. QE4 level will be, let's say, 30. So price level 4 is 10. Price P3 is, let's say, 12. P2 is, let's say, 14. P1 is, let's say, 18. So when price is 10, quantity supplied is 30. When price is 12, quantity supplied is 50. When price is 14, quantity supplied is 70. When price is 18, quantity supplied is 100. When 12, 14. the prices and equilibrium quantities. Equilibrium quantities or profit maximizing quantities. They are the quantities supplied by the firm at each price. So what kind of a relationship is there between price and quantity supplied? It's a positive relationship. When price increases, quantity supplied is also increasing. When price increases, quantity supplied is also increasing. When price decreases, quantity supplied is also decreasing. So there is a positive relationship. There is a positive relationship. When price goes up, quantity supplied goes up. When price goes down, quantity supplied goes down. So supply decision occurs only at P4 or above. Only at P4 or above. Below P4, the firm doesn't supply anything. So this portion of marginal cost, the portion of marginal cost above the shutdown point, represents the firm's supply curve. Firm's supply curve. The marginal cost curve above the shutdown point represents the firm's supply curve, or in other words, firm's marginal cost curve above the minimum average variable cost. Firm's marginal cost curve above the minimum point of average variable cost. Firm's marginal cost curve above the minimum average variable cost represents the firm's supply curve. Firm's supply curve. In the short run. To continue production, at least a part of average, to continue production, at least variable cost has to be fully covered by the price, by the revenue. To continue production in the short run, the firm should be able to at least fully cover the variable cost. So above the shutdown point, yes, firm can cover average variable cost fully. Since they can cover average variable cost fully, they can continue their production. So the supply happens, the firm will decide to supply only above P4 level, which is above the shutdown point. So above the shutdown point, the marginal cost curve represents the firm supply curve in the short. That is what is explained in this slide. It's the same thing is graphically shown here. So this marginal cost curve above the average variable, minimum point of average variable cost is supply curve. This green part of that marginal cost is supply curve. They are the same. You can see above. Okay, now we are going to discuss the long run equilibrium of the firm. You want to break now? Let's have a 10 minutes break. Come back around 9:50.
That's why I signed.
What we discussed so far belong to short run situation of a firm. Now we are going to discuss the long run activity. How the profit maximizing output level is determined in the long run. Profit maximizing output level the long run. In the long run, firms will reach the equilibrium at the minimum point of the long run average. The long run equilibrium of a perfectly competitive firm is where at the minimum point of long run average variable cost, sorry, average cost. Is that the minimum point of long run average cost? This is long run average cost. This is long run marginal cost. This is where the minimum point of long run average cost. MR is equal to MC here. MR is equal to long run marginal cost at this point. At the same time, at the same point, slope of in long run in marginal cost is greater than slope of MR. So this is the equilibrium point. This is the equilibrium. So at this point, the firm is producing this much. So this is the long run equilibrium output level. At this output level, compare price and average cost. Price and average cost. Price and long run average cost are equal. So the firm is earning a normal profit. So in the long run, firm is earning a normal profit because in the long run, the firm is producing at the minimum point of long run average cost curve. In the long run, the firm is producing at the minimum point of long run average cost curve. So at that point, price and long run average cost values are the same. So it implies that firm is earning a normal. Long run is just the planning horizon. Every time production happens in the short run. Long run is simply the planning horizon of the firm. So every time when we are observing the operations of a firm, they are producing at the short run, in the short run. So this long run situation is also correspond to a short run situation. This is the short run average cost. This is the short run marginal cost. Long run is the planning horizon. Yes, sir. Every time is operating in the short run. So this long run equilibrium corresponds to this short run situation. These short run cost curves represent the scale, the short run scale at which equilibrium lies, equilibrium occurs. So at the equilibrium in the long run, price equals to marginal revenue. Also, it's equal to average revenue. Also, it's equal to short run, long run marginal cost. Long run marginal cost. Also, it's equal to long run marginal revenue. Sorry, long run, yes. Long run average cost. Average cost. Short run marginal cost. Short run average cost. So all these cost components are equal to each other at the long run equilibrium. At the long run equilibrium. We don't distinguish price, marginal revenue, average revenue in long run and short run. Price, marginal revenue, average revenue. There is no difference between short run and long run. So we don't say it's long run revenue, marginal revenue, it's long run price, it's long run average revenue. We don't label them like that. Price, marginal revenue, average revenue. There is no distinction between long run and short run. They are always the same. That means we don't, price is just a price. Clear? So let's see how a firm moves from short run to long run. Assume in the short run, the firm can earn economic profits, economic losses, or normal. All these three situations are possible in the short run, but in the long run, only normal profits are possible. Okay, in the short run, economic profits, economic losses, normal profits, all these three types of profits are possible, but in the long run, only normal profits that the firm is earning. So assume that in the short run, a firm is experiencing an excess profit. That means the firm is experiencing economic profits. The firm is experiencing economic profits. Because of that, two changes happen. Two changes happen in the market and in the firms. What happens? Existing firms, those who are currently operating in the firm, existing firms, receive incentives to increase their production, to increase their scale of production. So existing firms increase their production. Increase their production. Because they are earning economic profits. They have motivation to increase their production. Outside firms, those who are not currently producing in the market, outside firms, they are observing that this industry is so profitable. The firms, those are in the industry, they are earning profit. So we also can enter the market and continue the production. So new firms are attracted. New firms are attracted to the industry, to the market. So new firms are attracted and their production also will increase. New firms enter the market and increase production. Increase production. So existing firms are motivated to increase their production. The firms, those who are outside the industry, outside the market, they observe that the industry is most profitable. So they enter the market. Entering the market is possible because in perfect competition, no entry barriers are there. No entry barriers are there. So new firms can easily enter the market and continue their production. So existing firms increase their production. New firms are also increasing. They are also increasing the production. So because of increased production, two things happen. Supply will increase. Market supply will increase. This is the market. This is the original demand curve and original supply curve in the market. Supply increases as a result of increased production in the market. So supply curve shift to the right. This is the original price P1, PE1. Supply increases, so this is the new price, new equilibrium price. Price falls due to the increased production. When firms are producing more goods than before, what do they want? They want inputs. They want input. They want labor. They want raw material. They want capital. So, to increase production, firms need more inputs. What are the inputs? Labor, capital, raw materials, etc. So input demand in input markets will increase. Input demand increase. Demand for inputs. Demand for inputs increase in the input markets. So let's assume labor market. The labor market. This is labor demand for labor. This is the wage rate. This is the supply of labor. This is original equilibrium wage rate. Demand for labor increases, DL1 to DL2. As a result, wage rate, equilibrium wage rate increases. So this is only about the labor market. The same thing will happen in capital market. The same thing will happen in raw material markets. Input prices go up. Like in the case of labor market. You can see equilibrium wage rate goes up. So because of increased demand for inputs, input prices go up. As a result, cost curves shift upward. Cost curves shift upward. And because of this is the market price. Market price falls. This is the original price. It's higher. as a result of this increased market supply, market equilibrium market price falls. Equilibrium market price is what? It represents the demand curve for the firm. Demand curve for the firm. In the case of a firm, this is the original demand curve D1 at PE1. Because of this falling market price, what happens? Firm's demand curve shifts downward. Firm's demand curve shifts downward. So firm's demand curve shifts downward. Firm's cost curve shift upward. Firm's demand curve shifts downward. Firm's cost curves shift upward. So these two situations, these two things will happen in the firm. Firm's demand curve falls downward, shifts downward. Firm's cost curves shift upward. Supply, industry supply increases, demand for factors of production increases. Demand for inputs. So because of increase in market supply, price, equilibrium market price falls. Factor prices increase. Price of inputs. So firm's demand curve of the firm shifts downward. Firm's cost curves shift upward. So these changes will bring the firm to a situation of normal profits. These changes will ultimately cause a firm to earn normal profits. This is the combined picture. This is the market. Market supply curve shifts. Price falls. Price falls. So this is the case of a firm. This is original demand curve, T1. This is the new demand curve at the new equilibrium price. These are the original So this is the original situation. This is the original price. At this original price, firm is earning an economic profit. Firm is earning an economic profit. Price is greater than average cost. So this area will represent the economic profit. The difference between price and average cost multiplied by output. P1 minus AC1 multiplied by QV1 will give the profit, economic profit. This economic profit will attract new firms to the industry, so they will start their production, so industry supply goes up. At the same time, existing firms will be motivated to increase their production. So in both ways, market supply goes up. Market supply will increase. And the equilibrium price will be determined here. This is the new equilibrium market price. And the firm will take that price as their own price. So this is their new demand curve. As I told you earlier, when market supply increases, firm's demand curve shifts downward. Firm's demand curve shifts downward. Another thing happens in the market, what is demand for inputs increase. Demand for inputs will increase. As a result, input prices will go up. When input prices go up, firms' cost curves will shift upward. Firms' cost curves will shift upward. So these cost curves will shift upward. So MC has shifted upward. AC also has shifted upward. Demand curve shifts downward. Cost curves shift upward. So where the new equilibrium occurs now? MR equals MC. MR equals MC at this point. This is X. MR. This is where MR equals MC. And also, the slope of marginal cost is greater than the slope of marginal revenue. So both equilibrium conditions are satisfied here. So this is the new equilibrium now. Then compare the price and average cost. Price is here. Average cost is here. Sorry. No. Let's draw the average cost here. Not here. Average cost should be here. Price is here. Average cost is also here. So average cost and marginal average cost and price both are the same. Average cost and price both are the same at this point. So firm is earning a normal profit. Actually, it's not clear that average cost has increased. So I will I will make a small modification. I'm sorry for that, because average cost, the new one is a little bit below the average cost previous one. I will make a small change to this. Original market equilibrium price is P1, and correspond to that price, this is the demand curve. So originally the firm is facing. And this blue color line is the original marginal cost curve, MC1. This purple color curve is the original average cost curve, SD1. P equals to MC at this level. MR equals to MC at this level. So at the same level, you can see the slope of MC is greater than slope of MR. So this becomes the equilibrium output level at P1. Still confusing. So I have to think about this. Sorry. I have to compare MR1 and MC1. So MR and MC are equal here. Slope of MR is 0. slope of NC is plus. So the second condition is also satisfied. So the equilibrium output level is here. Equilibrium output level is here. That is before, that is the situation in the short run. That is in the short run. In the short run, you can see price is greater than average cost. Price is greater than average cost. So the firms are earning economic profits. Firms are earning economic profits. This economic profit attracts new firms to come to the industry and increase their production. And also it motivates the existing firms to increase their production. So industry supply, market supply will increase like this. Market supply will increase. Market supply curve shifts to the right. As a result, market price falls. Market price falls. And the new demand curve the firm is facing is D2. The new demand curve the firm is facing is D2. When this happens, you see, market quantity also increases. Equilibrium market quantity also increases. So input demand increases. Demand for inputs increase. Input prices increase. As a result, firms' cost curves shift upward. Firms' cost curves shift upward. You can see this blue color line is the original marginal cost. Now marginal cost curve has shifted a bit upward. This is firm's original average cost curve. It also has shifted upward to AC2. So firms' cost curves will shift upward as a result of this increase in input prices. And then compare the new situation with D2 and MC2, AC2. MC and M are equal at this point. MC and M are equal at this point. At the same point, the slope of marginal cost is greater than the slope of MR. So equilibrium output level is here. This is the long run equilibrium. This is the long run equilibrium. In the long run, you see price and average cost are equal. So the firm is earning a normal profit. Firm is earning a normal profit. So when the firm moves from short run to long run, where the firm is earning short run economic profits in the short run, when moving from this situation to the long run situation, two major changes happen in the case of a firm. One change is demand curve shifts downward. The other change is cost curve shifts upward. When firms are earning economic profits in the short run, when it moves from short run to long run, two changes happen. Demand curve shifts downward, cost curve shifts upward. And as a result, eventually the firm will earn a normal profit. The firm will earn a normal profit where price equals the average cost. In the short run, firm is earning economic profits where price is greater than average cost. Because of these two changes, what is the change? What are the changes? Downward shift in demand curve and upward shift in cost curves. Ultimately, the firm will come to a situation where price and average cost are equal. Gradually, the firm will come to a position where price and average cost are equal. So at that level of output, the firm is earning a normal profit. This is just to explain the situation graphically. I'm not going to ask to draw this in the exam. even it was difficult for me. So how you can do it in the examination? The logic you should keep in mind. The logic explained in that flow diagram, you have to keep it in mind. You have to memorize it. What changes can happen in the market in the case of a firm when it moves from short run to long run, from a situation where it earns economic profits in the short run. The opposite will happen. Opposite will happen in the short run if the firm is earning economic losses. In the short run, if the firms are earning economic losses, what happens? Firms are earning economic losses. Then existing firms will cut down their production. Existing firms will cut down their production. Outside firms, will they be attracted? No. Outside firms will not be attracted to the industry. Existing firms will cut down their production, and also some existing firms will exit the industry. Some existing firms will leave the industry because it makes losses. It makes losses. So finally, what happens? Industry production goes down. When industry production goes down, industry supply curve, market supply curve shifts leftward. Here it was a rightward shift in the supply curve in the market. When short-run firms are earning losses, the opposite will happen. The supply curve will shift to the left. Supply decreases. When supply decreases, demand for inputs will go down. Demand for inputs will go down. Prices of inputs will go down. As a result, firms' cost curves will go down, will shift downward. Firms' cost curves will shift downward. Here it was an upward shift. In the new case, cost curves will shift downward. And ultimately we'll come to a point where P equals AC. In that case also, the firm will come to a situation where P equals MC. When firms are earning economic losses in the short run, some firms quit the industry, some firms leave the industry. So output will fall. Some firms cut down the size of the firm. Again, Q decreases. Industry supply curve decreases. Industry supply curve decreases. Industry supply curve shifts to the left. Demand for factors of production decreases. Let's say the labor market. In the labor market, demand for labor decreases. So as a result, demand for labor decreases. That means each price. Wages, the equilibrium wage rate falls. Equilibrium wage rate falls. When demand decreases, when demand for labor decreases, demand curve shifts leftward. So because of this change, market price falls. market price falls. Because of this change, factor prices or input prices increase. This fall in equilibrium price, this fall in price in the market will cause an upward shift in the firm's demand curve. Firm's demand curve shifts upward, and because of this decrease in input prices, sorry, it's not increase. Because of this increase in input prices, cost curves, firms' cost curves shift downward. So because of these changes, finally, the firm will come to a situation where P equals AC. P equals AC. So in this situation, firm will be earning losses. Sorry, a normal profit. Firm will be earning a normal profit. So irrespective of the case where the firm is earning an economic loss or an economic profit in the short run, in the long run, always the firm will earn a normal profit. This is the case where in the short run, firms are earning economic profits. In the long run, firm will come to a situation of normal profits. You don't have to understand this picture, it will be somewhat complex. Okay. This is not relevant to you. You can understand this, but I'm not going to check this in the examination. This is a situation where firms are earning economic losses in the short run. In that case, also ultimately firms will be earning normal profits in the long run. So this is what I have already showed to you. The picture here. At this point, all these values are equal. That's all about perfect competition. Any questions from the perfect competition? The next market structure is for monopoly. Monopoly is on the other extreme of market structures. In perfect competition, the competition is the highest. In monopoly, the competition is the lowest. Because there is only one single supplier, one single seller in the market. In perfect competition, there are large number of firms and buyers in the market. In monopoly, there is only one single supplier. One single supplier. And there are no close substitutes. In perfect competition, we told that products are homogeneous. Products are homogeneous. So products are identical. The outputs produced by all firms are the same. There are no any differences. In monopoly, there is only one single firm, and the output it produces has no close substitute. It doesn't have a close substitute. It's unique. The product is unique. If there is another firm which produces a close substitute, then it's not monopoly. Then it's not monopoly. It's no longer a monopoly situation. If there is another firm producing a similar product, then there are two firms, firm 1 and firm 2. Since there are two firms, then it's no longer a monopoly. It's something else. It's duopoly. We call it duopoly. It's not monopoly. Duopoly is market structure belongs to oligopoly. So there is only one single supplier in the market, and also there are no close substitute. Only one single firm is producing out. So in Sri Lanka, the railway department only supplies the railway services, train transportation services. So it's a monopoly. There is no any other government or private firm providing railway transportation. And also there are barriers to entry. There are barriers to entry. So monopoly firm can impose barriers to entry. And also the monopoly firm can set its price. In perfect competition, what does happen? The market price is taken by individual firms as their price. Individual firms in the perfect competition they don't have any power to determine their price. Whatever the price determined in the market has to be taken by individual firms in perfect competition. But in monopoly, market and the firm both are the same because there is only one firm. So when we are analyzing the firm's case, it itself becomes the market. Market and the firm both are the same. The firm and the market both are the same. Because of that, monopoly can set its price. So these are the main characteristics of monopoly. Only one seller, no close substitutes, barriers to entry, and monopoly can control its price. Monopoly can set its own price or can control its price. So why monopolies arise? Why monopolies arise in the market? There are several reasons. Reasons for the existence of monopoly, or reasons that lead to create monopoly power. Or we can also say that sources of monopoly power. Sources of monopoly power. There are several sources of monopoly power. There are several forces that lead to create a monopoly in the market. One is ownership of strategic raw materials. Ownership of strategic raw materials. Or exclusive knowledge of production techniques. For example, those who are owning a unique raw material. If a firm owns a unique raw material which is not available to other firms, then that ownership of that unique raw material creates a monopoly power to that firm, over that firm. For example, until the World War II, the Aluminium Company of America, ALCO, controlled almost every source of bauxite. I think it's the raw material to produce aluminium. The raw material to produce aluminium is bauxite. So the ownership of bauxite was there with ALCO before the World War II. So during that period, ALCO had the monopoly power in producing aluminium. That is one thing. And also the ownership, the exclusive knowledge of production techniques. If the firm owns exclusive knowledge of production techniques, that also creates a monopoly power. The production technique knows only by the firm. For example, Coca-Cola. Yes, of course, Coca-Cola is the Pepsi is a substitute for Coca-Cola, but still the Coca-Cola is unique. Coca-Cola flavor is unique. The production technique is kind of a secret. So because of that exclusive knowledge of production held by Coca-Cola company, it creates some sort of monopoly power over Coca-Cola company. So exclusive knowledge of production techniques it also creates monopoly power. And next, patent rights. If a company comes up with an innovation, that firm can claim for a patent right. Patent right gives an exclusive power, exclusive authority for the inventing firm to produce that product over a period of time. So if a firm holds a patent right for a product, then it creates monopoly power. It creates monopoly power because of having the patent right, no other company can produce it. If another firm is also is trying to produce the same thing, then the company which holds the patent right can take legal actions against that firm who is trying to copy the patent right. For example, Xerox had a monopoly power on photocopying machines for a period of time, because after a specific period of time, the patent right gets cancelled. So then other firms also can copy the patent right. So Xerox Since they invented the copying machine, the photocopying machine, they had the patent right for a period of time. That then over the period of time, Ceylon had the monopoly power to produce copying machines, photocopying machines. And another source is government licensing. Government can permit only one single firm to conduct production in an industry. For example, in Sri Lanka, money printing. Printing money is done by one single firm. So government has granted only to one single firm to print Sri Lankan rupee notes and coins. Government licensing. Franchise is also another source. Franchise. Franchise means global franchise. For example, Pizza Hut. Yes, there are some close substitute for Pizza Hut, but still Pizza Hut, the brand and their products are unique from others. The Pizza Hut, pizza produced at Pizza Hut, their flavor is different from Domino's Pizza. So still it has some monopoly power. So it's franchised. The multinational company of Pizza Hut has given franchise to a local company to operate Pizza Hut network in Sri Lanka. So because of that, Pizza Hut operating in Sri Lanka has a monopoly power. No other company in Sri Lanka can operate, can function Pizza Hut in Sri Lanka. So government licensing and franchises are also sources of monopoly power. Some industries, economies of scale may operate over a sufficiently large range of output as to leave only one single firm in the entire market. The market creates a natural monopoly. Natural monopolies operate particularly when it requires the firm to incur huge costs for infrastructure. If the firm wants to has to incur a huge infrastructure cost, for example, think about a distributor of gasoline. Then the gasoline distributor has to establish a huge network of transportation, a huge network of pipelines, right? So when the firm needs to incur a huge infrastructure cost, then that firm has to produce in a very large scale. Infrastructure cost is very large, very huge. So in order to make profits, the firm has to produce very huge amounts of output. It has to produce very huge amounts of output because it needs a very huge infrastructure cost. If this firm producing a very little amount of output, then it cannot make profits. So in order to make profits, the firm which incurs huge infrastructure costs has to produce in huge amounts. So if another firm comes to industry if another firm comes to industry, and this firm also has the capacity to, this newcomer, this new firm also has funds to set up the infrastructure. This new firm also has the financial strength to establish the huge infrastructure network. But this existing firm, this is the existing firm, this existing firm has to produce in huge amounts. So this existing firm will fulfill the entire market demand. This existing firm will fulfill the entire market demand. Entire market demand in order to make profits. This new firm has the ability to establish the infrastructure in the industry. But can this firm produce in bulk quantities in order to make profits? No, not possible. Because already this existing firm has fulfilled the entire market demand. So no other company can come to the industry and fulfill even a part of the market demand. Even a part of the market demand. It's not possible because only one single firm is enough to completely fulfill the market demand. A single firm is completely enough to fulfill the entire market demand. If this firm is not allowed to fulfill the entire market demand, if this existing firm is not allowed to fulfill the entire market demand, then this existing firm will be earning losses. This existing firm will be earning losses if the existing firm is not allowed to fulfill the entire demand. So it leaves only one firm in the industry. It leaves only one firm in the industry. Even though a new industry can come to the market and set up the infrastructure facilities, this firm is not allowed to cater the market because if doing so, this existing firm will make losses since its market share decreases if this new firm fulfills a part of the market demand. So only one firm is enough for the entire market. Such situation is critical because it needs huge infrastructure costs. So no other firm is able to come to the industry. No other firm is able to come to the industry and fulfill the market demand because only one firm is enough for the entire market. That's what it says. That's what we identify as natural monopoly. Natural monopoly. Most of the time, such industries need huge infrastructure costs. Because they incur huge infrastructure costs, they have to produce in huge amounts while fulfilling the entire market demand. Since they are producing output for the entire market, their average cost is very low. Since they are producing at a huge scale, their average cost is very low. If a new firm comes to the industry with a huge investment of infrastructure, this newcomer will not be able to produce at this much level of lower average cost, because already this existing firm caters the entire market. This existing firm caters the entire market. So even though this newcomer comes to the industry with a huge infrastructure cost, this newcomer will not be able to produce at this much lower average cost. Their average cost will be little bit higher. So it is not profitable for this new firm to come to the industry, because only one single firm is enough to cater the entire industry. It's mainly because of this huge requirement of huge infrastructure. So that is called natural monopoly. Natural monopoly. Eka industry එක huge infrastructure cost එකක් එක්ක operate වෙනකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ විශාල ප්‍රමාණයකින් නිපදවනවා. කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම ගත්තොත් එහෙම මුළු market demand එකම ඒගොල්ලෝ විසින් fulfill කරනවා. එහෙම කලේ නැත්නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ට profit කරන්න බෑ. Because they have already incurred a huge infrastructure cost. When they are fulfilling the entire market demand, the average cost is very low, very low, because they are producing at huge amounts. They are producing huge amounts. අලුත් ෆර්ම් එකක් එනකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ infrastructure cost එකකුත් දරාගෙන එන්න පුළුවන්. ලොකු infrastructure cost එකක් දරාගෙන තමයි එන්නේ. හැබැයි ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඉඩ නැහැ. එයාට ඉඩ නැහැ මේ market එකේ. එයා ආවොත් මෙයා fulfill කරන්න බැහැ මුළු market demand එකම. එතකොට මෙයා loss එකක් දරනවා. ඒ වගේම අලුත් එක්කෙනා එනකොට පොඩි ප්‍රමාණයකින් තමයි නිපදවන්න පටන් ගන්නේ. So at a lower scale, average cost is high. Average cost is high. So this new firm cannot compete with the existing firm. Cannot compete with the existing firm. That is another reason why only one firm is left in the industry. So it creates a natural monopoly. Creates a natural monopoly. So in Sri Lanka, we can identify that the railway department has such a natural monopoly. So only one firm is enough to cater the entire industry. So most of the government utilities like water supply in Sri Lanka also has such a natural monopoly. Only one firm, which is water supply and drainage department. I don't know what is it. Galle, Sampradana Jala Mandal. Is it a board or is it a department? They have a kind of a natural monopoly. It's enough only. It caters the entire industry. No other firm can come to the industry with that much of a lower average cost. So it mentions another example, Windows operating system for personal computers. Yes, Windows operating system for personal computers, they are producing at bulk quantities. So their average cost is very lower. If newcomer comes to the industry, they cannot compete with that very low average cost. So it naturally leaves only one firm in the industry. Because a newcomer cannot compete with that very low average cost. So newcomers are naturally avoided from the industry. Newcomers are naturally avoided in the industry because newcomers have to produce at a higher average cost than the existing firms. So newcomers, since they are having, they have to bear a higher average cost. they cannot compete with the low average cost that the existing firms producing at. The next point is firms adopt a limit pricing policy. That is the case of monopoly established by creating barriers to newcomers. Yes, monopoly, the existing monopoly firm can create barriers to outside firms by imposing a limit pricing policy. They can charge lower price, a very low price, even below the average cost, in order to stop newcomers. In order to stop newcomers, the monopoly firm can set a very low price, even below the average cost. That is to stop newcomers. That is called limit pricing policy. So it works as a barrier to the new coming firms. Because of the very low price that artificially created by the monopoly, existing monopoly, new firms cannot compete with that very low price. Then automatically, new firms will be avoided from the market. That is another reason, limit pricing policy. Okay, so those are the sources of monopoly. Or causes of monopoly or sources of monopoly, ownership of strategic raw materials, exclusive knowledge of production techniques, patent rights, government licensing, franchising, natural monopolies, and limit pricing policy. And now we come to discuss demand curve of the monopolies. In the case of perfect competition, the firm is having a horizontal demand curve because a perfectly competitive firm is a price taker. Whatever the price determined in the market has to be taken by the firm. So its demand curve is horizontal. But in the case of monopoly, the monopolist cater the entire industry. The monopolist cater the entire market. So the market demand curve becomes the firm's demand curve, the monopolist demand curve. Monopolist demand curve. In perfect competition, market demand and firm's demand are different. This is market demand. This is market supply. This is the equilibrium price determined in the market, and that price is taken by the perfectly competitive firm. This is the case of the perfect competition. In monopoly, there is only single firm operating in the market. So the entire market demand curve, becomes the monopolist demand curve or the firm's demand curve. Only one single firm is operating in the industry. There is only one monopolist. So the monopolist, the market demand curve itself becomes the monopolist or the firm's demand curve. It's downward sloping. As usual, it's downward sloping. Only for simplicity, we assume the demand curve is linear. Only for simplicity, we assume the demand curve is linear. But demand curve is not necessarily should be a linear curve. It can have some curvature. It can be a curved curve like this. Can be a curved one like this. But only for simplicity, we assume a straight line. So this is it. This is the demand curve. Market demand curve and also the monopolist demand curve. The usual function of the demand curve is this. This is the demand curve's function equation. Demand curve's equation. Quantity demanded equals beta 0 minus beta 1 into P. Have you seen this equation before? Have you learned demand theory in previous classes by Professor Abdasiri? Yes, you have learned demand theory. Q, quantity demand. Q is quantity demand. Beta 0 is what? Beta 0 is what? It's the intercept. Intercept. Antakkande, if you can remember your O-level or grade 9 mathematics. For a curve, there are two things. Intercept and the slope. Antakkande and Anukramana. Anukramane. Value. Anukramana. This is intercept. Antakkande. Intercept of the demand. B1 is the slope. The slope. Value. We can give some economic meaning to beta 0. We can give an economic meaning to the intercept. What is it? Beta 0 is, or the intercept is Q when P is 0. That is the amount of quantity demanded when price is 0. Intercept is the quantity demanded when price is 0. The demand equation is Q equals beta 0 minus B, sorry, not beta. Q equals B0 minus B1 into price. When P is 0, this entire term, B1 into P becomes 0. B1 multiplied by 0. When P is 0, B1 multiplied by 0 itself becomes 0. So this entire term becomes 0 when P is 0. Then what is left? P0. What is left is only P0. So when price is 0, this entire term disappears, and what is left is B0 only. So when price is 0, quantity demanded equals to B0. Quantity demanded equals to B0. In the graph, if I show this B0, where is it? This is the price axis, this is the quantity axis. When price is 0, what is quantity demanded? This much. This is B0. This is B0. The intercept. It's the horizontal intercept. It's the horizontal intercept. Horizontal intercept. What is B1? It's the slope. The slope. What is the dependent variable here? Q. The dependent variable is Q here. Independent variable is P. The slope of a curve is change in the dependent variable divided by change in the independent variable. Slope of a curve is change in the dependent variable divided by the change in the independent variable. Price is independent. Price affects quantity. Price affects quantity, so that quantity demanded becomes the dependent variable. Price has an influence over quantity demand. So in that sense, price is the independent variable, quantity demanded is the dependent variable. So slope of a curve is change in dependent variable divided by change in independent variable. So in the case of this demand equation, what is it? Change in Q divided by change in P. Change in Q divided by change in P. Slope is change in Q divided by change in P. If P1, let's assume, so where we can show, how we can show the slope in this graph, in this demand graph. How do we show it? How do we show the slope? Usually, according to mathematical standards, we put the dependent variable on the vertical axis and the independent variable on the horizontal axis. That is the mathematical way of drawing a graph for two variables which are related. So price should be on the horizontal axis. Quantity demanded should be on the vertical axis. That is the correct way of drawing a graph according to maths. This is the correct graph that suits to this demand equation. But in economics, we do something different. We usually put quantity on the horizontal axis. We put price on the vertical axis. We put quantity on the horizontal axis and price on the vertical axis. It is against the mathematical standard. The mathematical standard is this, but we do the opposite in economics. Why is that? Why is that? Because economics is older than maths. Economics discipline has a long history than maths. I'm just kidding. So anyway, I don't know the reason. This is the tradition of economics. It is opposite to the mathematical standard way of drawing a graph. So if we draw the demand curve like this, with quantity on the vertical axis and price on the horizontal axis, then P1 is here. B0 is here. B0 is here. When price is zero, what is the quantity? B0 is here. It becomes the vertical intercept. It becomes the vertical intercept. And the slope is this. Delta Q, delta P. The slope is P1. If we draw the demand curve by following the mathematical standards, this is how we identify B0 and B1. But in this economic way of drawing the graph, B0 is the horizontal intercept, and the slope of this is delta P over delta Q. Delta P over delta Q. It is the reciprocal of P1. It is the reciprocal of P1. The other way. P1 is delta Q over delta P. Here in this graph, the slope is what? The reciprocal of P1. 1 over P1. That is delta P over delta Q, not delta Q over delta P. It's the other way around. So if I give a mathematical expression Q equals 100 minus 5P, how we draw the demand curve? Draw the demand curve for this. Following the economic standard. Follow the economic standard. Draw the demand curve. Hundreds is what? Q when P is 0. Q when P is 0. So 100 is here. Minus 5 is what? Delta Q over delta P is minus 5. But here, what is the slope? Delta P over delta Q. So the slope should be slope should be 1 over minus 5, which is minus 0.2. Slope should be minus 0.2. So if we write an equation to this, if we write an equation to this diagram, P should be the subject. P should be the subject. And there should be A0 minus A1 Q. We can derive this expression based on this. We can modify this to derive that. We have to make this equation. We have to change this equation with P as the subject. So let's make P the subject of this equation. 5P equals 100 minus Q. P equals 100 divided by 5. 100 divided by 5. Minus Q divided by 5. P equals 20 minus 1 over 5, 0.2. This is the demand equation for demand curve. This is the inverse of the demand curve. Inverse of the demand curve. Yes, it's the inverse demand curve. This is the demand curve equation. This is the inverse demand curve equation. Inverse demand curve equation is the one that suits to this economic standard demand graph. Inverse demand curve is the equation that suits to this economic way of drawing the demand curve. So, according to inverse demand curve, when Q is 0, what is the price? When Q is 0, price is 20. When Q is 0, price is 20. That is the vertical intercept. The vertical intercept is 20. Okay. The demand equation for P, this is the inverse demand curve. The revenue. To find the revenue curve, to find the revenue equation, we always have to start with the inverse demand curve. If you are asked to derive the total revenue curve, the total revenue equation or total revenue curve, you have to start with the inverse demand curve. Don't start with the original demand curve to find the total revenue equation. Always you have to follow this, not this. Total revenue is P into Q. Total revenue is price multiplied by quantity sold or quantity. Yes, quantity sold. Okay, demanded. That's fine. Quantity sold, quantity demanded, both are the same. The same thing, the same coin. The two sides on the same coin. So if you are asked to find the total revenue curve, you have to multiply P by Q. Multiply P by Q. This P should come from the inverse demand curve. P should come from the inverse demand curve equation, which is P equals beta 0 minus beta 1 Q. So in our example, I introduced before, P equals 20 minus 0.2 Q. This is our inverse demand equation. Find total revenue curve for this curve. Find total revenue equation for this curve. You have to multiply P by Q. So P you have to take from the inverse demand curve. What is the inverse demand curve? 20 minus 0.2 Q. Instead of P, substitute the inverse demand curve equation. Instead of P, substitute inverse demand curve equation, which is 20 minus 0.2 Q. And then multiply it by Q. Then multiply it by Q. Then total revenue is what? 20 multiplied by Q, 20Q. 20 multiplied by Q, 20Q. Minus 0.2Q multiplied by Q. Minus 0.2Q multiplied by Q, that is minus 0.2 Q squared. Q squared. If you are asked to derive total revenue equation, you have to start with inverse demand curves equation in this format. P equals B0 minus B1Q. Always P should be the subject in the inverse demand curve. P is the subject. P is the subject. And total revenue equation is P into Q. So for P, substitute the inverse demand equations, right hand part, right hand side. It's according to our example, it's 20 minus 0.2 Q. And then multiply that by Q. Then you have to simplify it. Very simple. 20 multiplied by Q, 20Q. minus 0.2 q multiplied by q, it's minus 0.2 q to the power 2 or q squared, q to the power 2. And then from total revenue, we can calculate average revenue. From total revenue, we can calculate average revenue. What is our total revenue? TR equals 20Q minus 0.2 Q squared. What is average revenue? Average revenue equals total revenue divided by Q. Average revenue equals total revenue divided by Q. That is per unit revenue. This is nothing else. It's per unit revenue. Revenue per unit. Per unit of sales. Per unit of sales. So we know the total revenue 20Q minus 0.2Q squared. Divide the whole thing. Divide the whole thing by Q. By Q. Get the answer. It's 20Q divided by Q, it's 20 minus 0.2 Q squared divided by Q, it's minus 0.2 Q. That is the answer. Is this familiar to you? Is this familiar to you? This is AR. Is this AR equation familiar to you? Yes. This is the inverse demand curve. This is the inverse demand curve equation. So average revenue and inverse demand curve both are identical. Both are identical. Average revenue and inverse demand curve both are identical. Then think about marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is change in total revenue divided by change in units sold, number of units sold. So instead of delta sign, you can use D. D and delta both are the same. This is for a change. This is for a small change. About the changes. Marginal revenue is DTR or DQ. In differentiation, we use D. D and delta both mean the same thing, but delta is about any kind of change. It can be a small change or a large change. When it comes to D, it's about a very small change. So we know the total revenue curve. Total revenue is 20Q minus 0.2 Q squared. Find marginal revenue. To find marginal revenue, we differentiate total revenue with respect to Q. How do we read this? How do we read this? Differentiate total revenue with respect to Q. Differentiate total revenue with respect to Q. Do you know differentiation and its principles? Differentiation done it? Calculus. You know differentiation? No. You haven't learned before. Differentiation. Differentiate TR over T over 3 with respect to Q. Differentiation. Did you have a mathematics course in your degree program? You had a mathematics? No, you don't have mathematics course. Okay, I will tell some simple principles. So, differentiate total revenue. What is the total revenue expression now? 20Q minus 0.2 Q squared. Differentiate total revenue. Differentiate total revenue with respect to Q. I rewrite the same thing with our demand total revenue equation instead of TR. So differentiate this part and this term separately. We differentiate this term and this term separately. When we are differentiating the first term, 20Q, think about its power value. MR is dTR over dQ. D 22 minus 0.2 squared equals D22 dQ minus D minus. So I differentiate the first term first, and then I differentiate the second term with respect to Q. In differentiating, look at the power value of Q here. What is the power value of Q here? 1. There is a constant as well. There is a constant as well. So in differentiating a term like this, first we have to multiply the constant by the power. Multiply the constant value by the power of Q. Then how much is it? 20 into Q, 20 into 1, it's 20. It's 20. And write Q as it is. Q as it is with the power value 1. With the power value 1. and deduct 1 from the power value. 1 from the power value. First, multiply the power value of Q by the constant value. 1 into Q, 1 into 20, it's 20. Then write Q with its power and deduct 1 from the power. 1 minus 1, it is 0. Then 20 into Q to the power 0. For any variable, for any value, if the power value is 0, then it's always 1. For any value or for any unknown variable, if its power value is 0, the value is 1. 1 to the power 0, it's 1. 10 to the power 0, it's 1. 125 to the power 0, 1. X to the power 0, it's 1. Z to the power 0, 1. So Q to the power 0 is also 1. So 20 into 1, it's 20. So the differentiation of this term is 20. Then consider the second one. You have to follow the same principles. You have to follow the same principles as I did before. Multiply the power value by the constant. Minus 0.2 multiplied by 2, what is it? Minus 0.4. Minus 0.4. Write Q as it is with its power value and deduct 1. Deduct 1. Then what is it? 0.4 Q to the power 1. We don't want to write this power value 1, it's implied, so it's 0.4. 0.4. So this is dTR over dQ, which is marginal revenue. Marginal revenue equation is 20 minus 0.4 Q. 20 minus 0.2 Q. Inverse demand curve and average revenue demand curve was what? 20 minus 0.2 Q. Marginal revenue is 20 minus 0.4 Q. The vertical intercept is 20 here. Vertical intercept is 20 here. So vertical intercept does not change. They are the same in all these cases. In both inverse demand curve, in average revenue curve, in marginal revenue curve, the vertical intercept is the same. The same. Then, but what about the slope? The slope in inverse demand curve, the slope in average revenue curve is minus 0.2. Minus 0.2. When it comes to marginal revenue curve, the slope is minus 0.4. Minus 0.4. So the slope of marginal revenue curve is twice higher than that of the inverse demand curve. Slope of MR curve is twice steeper than the inverse demand curve. This is how we can draw the marginal revenue and demand curve. Demand curve is this, its slope is minus 0.2. Marginal revenue curve is this, its slope is minus 0.4. Marginal revenue curve is twice steeper than the inverse demand curve or the demand curve. So to draw a curve which is twice steeper, you can identify the midpoint. Identify the midpoint here. So the distance before the midpoint and distance after the midpoint are the same. They are the same. So after identifying the midterm, you can connect the midterm to the vertical intercept. Then that line will show the marginal revenue curve. This will be 50. 50. The horizontal intercept for the demand curve is 100. The horizontal intercept for the marginal revenue curve is 50. That's all for today. Do you have questions? Any questions? Are you informed about the exam date? Not yet. We will have a classroom activity next week. It will be an open book one, so a small one. And we will take around 30 minutes or something, and then continue the session. Yes, I will give a small classroom. And can you get into groups of 3 or 4 people? How many students? There are 20, I expect. There is 20 students in your batch, or 19. Okay, get into 3 or 4 group members, and next week just inform the list to me. Okay, thank you so much.